Here at Balruddery Farm, we've developed some of our EFA field margins to help add value to the rest of the landscape by slowing the movement of water, stopping erosion and runoff after prolonged or heavy rainfalls. We're very fortunate as a farm team in that we get to work with a lot of very clever scientists working on a whole range of different projects. One of the projects that helped stimulate our thinking around developing magic margins was the tramline runoff experiment that was done in the field just to the west of the steading. And in that field, it's not particularly a sloping field, and I remember in how we set up the experiment, which was to capture the runoff down the tram lines. We had water catchment areas and it was going to capture the water and the silt. And I remember at the establishment stage that I thought, well, we're going to get very little results from this experiment, and I was shocked as to how wrong I was. The erosion and the silt that ended up in these traps down our very light land was quite frightening. So as a farm team, we decided that we think that we could do something that was much simpler than catchment fences, can be replicated on other farms and be set up throughout the catchment of any area, not just in one at the bottom of the hill, throughout the catchment. And that was the concept that we came up with as the magic margins. So to develop these margins, we used some very basic equipment that we had in the farmyard anyway. We used an old set of potato drill ploughs to actually drill the ploughs across the slope to act as the barrier. And then we actually realised that the problem we might have is that the water would hit the first drill and then probably migrate across the slope to the lowest point in the margin and either pool or damage the buffer in some way. So we used a set of tide ridgers to create little dams between the drills, and this actually worked very well in holding the water where it met the first drill in the margin. We then went on to stabilise the drills by sowing them in with a wild grass seed mix, and we had great success with that. So then we expanded our ideas and we developed the margins with wildflower seed mixes and game cover seed mixes to add value to the habitat and the landscape around the farm. Since developing the margins, we've seen a lot of other advantages. One of the things that we are very blessed with at Balruddery Farm is that we have very light land, sandy silt loam, and it's very susceptible to compaction and also erosion. And this has certainly added value to it, and we've seen less erosion on the farm now that the margins have been established. But there are other benefits too that we hadn't actually foreseen. The surface area is greater in the margins, so it has promoted and encouraged evaporation.